right, we back. The thing, like I'm screen reading right now. I'm reading my notes. Okay, ABC. You know what I'm saying? Rachel Scott. The thing in that clip. Go back and rewind if you need to. If you didn't hear her, she said she was at the Trump rally and she was so scared. She was so scared, but she said it sounded like firecrackers. How firecrackers make you scared? If I hear some firecrackers jumping off, I'll be like, oh, they're firecrackers. But if I was hearing real gunshots, then I'd be like, oh shit, nigga, get down, get down. Get down. I don't know. This might be my last day. You know what I'm saying? Let me get right. Let me get right. Let me go. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we gonna keep this thing rolling because I don't want to make this video too long. Number 3, we got, it's a combination. I want y'all to really pay attention. You know what I'm saying? When this lady comes around, Charlemagne the God, she is Charlemagne the God handler. When Charlemagne go too far in politics with what he be saying, you will see this woman named Angela Rye come around, and she make Charlemagne say the right things he need to say when he be getting interviewed, like CNN. He was going to Fox News for a second saying what you don't see him going to Fox no more. So number 3, we got Charlemagne the God with Angela Rye.
Where you do not garner their support if you don't acknowledge them. We must be at the point where we say, no, if we have been impacted by discrimination in federal contracts and accessing jobs, now with a ban on affirmative action in higher education, police violence, right? Someplace where, again, Kamala Harris, Madam Vice President, stood 10 toes down on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. We need to keep that same energy right now because people are still being killed by police. Last year was the deadliest year for police violence. I want her in a position where she is shining, and that is as a prosecutor. Prosecute the case about racism in this country and go hard at its neck.
With black voters and Biden specifically.
I have been in meeting after meeting, both on the Hill and off the Hill, with the party about their failure to reach their base, their most faithful base. 4 years. This is not new information. I don't know why we're surprised. I don't know why they said I'm not holding them accountable on segments with them and all of that. Leonard is not saying anything different than what I've heard members, including the past chairs of the Congressional Black Caucus, say to the party. They're saying you're not investing enough in our community. Find the lie. Jamie Harrison will tell you that that is indeed the case, that they are working on it to change it. So why are we upset when people are pointing out the facts? The facts are enough black consultants aren't hired. Tell me 5 black pollsters you have. You can't because you have not created that bench. Tell me the black candidates that you have. You've been forced to ensure that that bench is growing by the Congressional Black Caucus. You tell me the number of consultants you hire. Tell me with a fact, with a straight face, that white boys don't run the Democratic Party. And I'll call you a lie all day long. Now, that does not mean that we should go and support a fascist. I don't think that either of us are saying that.
And that's what mainstream media never reports me saying, because I'm never saying, I may talk about Joe Biden and his shortcomings, but I also say Donald Trump is the end of democracy as we know it. And we've seen it. Like, he attempted a coup of this country, or to overturn, the vote. So it's like
and the votes of people who look like us.
That's right. So
Vice President Kamala Harris, should she get the nomination?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely would endorse Vice President Kamala Harris. I supported Kamala Harris in 2020 when she ran for president. I was out there on the campaign trail with her. She was the only reason that I voted for the Biden-Harris ticket to begin with. And, we have our, disagreements on air and off air. But I think that, she is the perfect person, to be to fight in these unprecedented times right now.
We wanted to come by to remind you that our nation is counting on you. We're so proud of you and everything you have achieved. And I will tell you, I was in band when I was your age. So I know a little bit about, Coach knows about the players, right? And all that you all are doing, it requires a whole lot of rehearsal, a whole lot of practice. But all that practice makes for beautiful music. And that is a metaphor, that is symbolic for everything that you all will do in your lives.
And tomorrow in Georgia, Harris and Walz will sit down for their first interview as their party's nominees. It airs 24 hours from right now, 9 p.m. tomorrow night, only right here on CNN. A lot riding on that appearance for the vice president. And as the Democratic ticket tries to put the Peach State back in play, a brand new poll tonight shows it might already be. A Fox News survey shows Harris gaining ground in Sun Belt battlegrounds, among them Georgia. Harris with 50% support among registered voters and Donald Trump at 48%. So incredibly tight within the margin of error. So there is no clear leader. But the fact that Georgia is competitive right now is big news in itself. The survey attributes Harris's gains to strong support among women, black voters, and young voters. So let's take the pulse of the people in Georgia and beyond. My sources tonight are multimedia mogul Charlamagne Tha God, host of the Breakfast Club radio show, and author of the new book, Get Honest or Die Lying: Why Small Talk Sucks. I could not agree more with that sentiment. And Angela Ride, CEO of the political advocacy firm Impact Strategies and the co-host of the Native Land podcast. Great to see you both. I'm excited to see what you have to say tonight. Charlamagne, let's kick it off with you. You see that poll that I mentioned earlier. It's a snapshot in time, of course. No clear leader. But Georgia is a swing state again. That was not the case with President Biden. What does this signal to you? Do you think she can keep the momentum going and keep Georgia in play?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having us tonight. And absolutely, the VP is doing exactly what she needs to be doing. We all know this isn't a traditional campaign because of the short window she has. So she's got to go out there and she's got to leave no stone unturned. She's got to shake every hand, kiss every baby. That is what campaigning is. Campaigning is explaining yourself and your policies to everybody, and don't let social media fool you. I like the vibes, but the vibes aren't going to be what wins you this election. People want policy. People want something tangible that they can feel, that can make them feel better about their circumstances. And she's going to have to go out there every single day and explain how she is going to do that for the American people. And she's doing it.
Angela, to bring you in, those battleground polls also show Donald Trump pulling in 19% support from black voters. That is actually triple what he got in 2020. What do you make of that? What is he doing right to win them over?
I don't make anything of these polls that are talking to imaginary black folks. I would love to know, for one, who they're talking to, because I've not seen.
So you think that they don't
anywhere.
exist?
I think that they are, maybe, you know what they might be the invisible man that Ralph Ellison talked about in his book. I don't know who these people are. There was a Trump ad that was released, I believe today, that's targeting black women voters. And there are these people who, allegedly exist all throughout the country, and they're reading scripts. You can see their eye line going over here. And I think some of them might be paid to say some of these things. I'm not sure. But here's what I do know, Pam. You talked about this not being the case, Georgia not being the case for Joe Biden. Joe Biden did actually win Georgia in 2020. And I also want to give some credit to Kamala Harris, who has been to Georgia 7 times. This year, right? And so I think it's important for us to acknowledge the work that has been done. Their state directors talked about 35,000 new volunteers on the ground since Kamala Harris announced. They have well over 24 offices in that state. They're doing the work. And so what you do see with polls and what you do hear from folks who are registered voters is that the tide is changing, that they're excited about the change and the excitement that Kamala Harris brought to the top of the ticket. And I think we really got to give more credit to the work. I'm not giving any credit to these polls. Polls end up being wrong all the time. And I've seen polls that say 15%, 19%, 18% of black folks. I don't believe it at all. I really don't.
So I want to follow up with what you had said about, who are these voters? As I said, the 19% of black voters supporting Trump. Our CNN's Allie Reeve actually recently spoke to a black voter in Virginia who owns a shop that sells pro-Trump merchandise. Here's what she said about his outreach to black voters, and I'll get your reaction on the other end.
I think they are supporting on this network. That is in and of itself crazy. So to Leonard's point about a damn fool, I would have to agree with that too.
All right. All right. So let's go back, Charlamagne, to bring you back in. Earlier this year, I was going back to look at some of your past interviews you've done, right? The dynamic has clearly changed. But when it was a Biden-Harris ticket, you said that you wouldn't support Biden's reelection, even if it meant Harris was VP. You told Politico in January that once the two got into the White House, Harris, quote, kind of disappeared. You told Politico, and it reported that you felt burned by backing her. What has she done specifically now to change your view?
Well, I had an unrealistic expectation of, what I expected of her as the vice president. And the truth of the matter is that just comes in my belief of her. If you go back and watch an interview on Breakfast Club in 2018, I told her then that I thought that she could be the president of the United States of America one day. So I had I had a belief in her that, over those 3.5 years, over the last 3.5, 4 years, I know that administration, handcuffed her a lot. So what changed is that she's at the top of the ticket now. For her being at the top of the ticket now, she's the person that I believed in back in 2018. That person did kind of disappear over the last 3 years, but that is the role of the VP. I mean, if you're a vice president, you kind of, do. I don't want to say do nothing because she did do a lot, but if you kind of like don't rock the boat and you let the president be the president, you did a great job. You did a great job.
Let me just follow up with you because you said the last administration handcuffed her a lot. What makes you say that? I know you talked to Harris as well. Has she conveyed that to you? What makes you say that, or is it just like your observation?
No, she never conveyed that to me. I just know that that's what I observe. She's the vice president. That is the vice president's role. The vice president's role is to, push the agenda of the president and, support the president. And she did that, very well. But she's still the VP, but she's at the top of the ticket running to be the president. And I think that, over the last 3 to 4 weeks, the person that I know that I started, supporting way back in 2017, that's who I'm seeing front and center right now. And I love it.
Yeah, because you had said also earlier this year she could still pivot. It seems like what you're saying is she has pivoted to your liking.
She definitely pivoted. Like, I also said that the language of politics is dead. And, if you hear a lot of the things that she's saying now, she's really speaking her mind. Like, earlier today, she said Donald Trump is out of his mind. She should have said out of his mother effing mind. But, she was right in that.
All right, we back, y'all. And as you see in the videos, I just want to know why they was going so hard on the Democratic Party. You see in the clip, she was like, Kamala, you need to be a prosecutor for black racism and police shootings and all that stuff. She was going hard on Kamala. Charlamagne the God was going hard on Joe Biden. People up there was calling the radio station up there on Charlamagne that he had to go with the streets of the people because this migrant crisis is getting out of hand, which we gonna do in the next video, how this migrant crisis is really causing the problems on these streets. And what else I write down so I leave it out. It's funny how the Democratic Party throw stones, hide their hand, and point the finger. But when you call them out, they gonna say you racist, misogynist, homophobic. They got all these words to deflate and just skirt from the issue when you call them out. But they can say all these people doing this and this and that when they were the ones really doing this stuff behind the scenes. And what else I got on them before we get on? Oh yeah, in the video when they was on CNN, Angela Rye was like, who is these mysterious black people? I believe they're imaginary. I don't believe them pose, but they believe them pose that Kamala is up right now. And this is the same pose that they get from it come from the same data, but you don't believe that these Trump supporters is real, but you believe Kamala Harris is up in all these polls right now. Make it make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. These is flip-flopping, say whatever they need to say to cape for the liberals. They just do everything for these liberals, y'all. They say, oh, this person was a Republican, or they must have been, or conservative, or they must have been paid off, or they was. You look at their eyes, they read. I'm looking at y'all eyes in these clips that I'm playing, and it look like all y'all reading. Like I said, they throw the stone, hide their hand, point the finger, but really they the ones doing all the bullshit, y'all. Let's just keep it real. Let's keep it going. Number 2, worst media reporter. And I ain't gonna get on till too long because I don't want him flagging my videos and all that. Roly poly. Rolling my ear, black on media. And let's just say this before we get into Roland Martin, because you know what I'm saying. I got a question out here for Roland. You was on CNN. They let all y'all go at the same time. Zola, Dad O'Brien, all y'all, because that's when I used to watch CNN. And then you went to TV1. But let's be real, TV1 won all that. And then you got fired from TV1 because you leaked questions to Hillary Clinton, which proved that you would do anything to be in that circle. You just trying to be in that circle, in that group and all that. Roland just want to fit in and be one of them. And you got fired from TV1 and you have no lucrative business or anything. So how you start this, where you get this money to start this black-owned media? Did you get it for the Clintons and George Soros and them? But anyway, let's keep it going. Number 2, Roland Martin out here on everybody's Twitter. Out here, if you say anything against Kamala or the liberals or any of them, he coming for you on Twitter. He coming for everybody.
Kamala Harris signed an Asian hate crime bill, which makes it beyond illegal to ever purposely and maliciously do anything to anybody in the Asian community. And there was a spike in crimes and criminal behavior in and around COVID, allegedly and specifically motivated by Trump. And so,
all right, y'all, let me make this video real quick, okay? Like real quick. Tyrese, you do not know what you're talking about. That video where you're talking about an anti-Asian crime bill, that is a lie. Please, learn to fact check before you start talking. I have debunked this nonsense numerous times on Roland Martin Unfiltered. That is a lie. I literally have walked through the bill on my show. In the summary, it talks about the attacks on Asian Americans. It is called the COVID-19. It specifically mentions COVID-19. If you actually read the bill, which I've done on the air multiple times, it does not only apply to Asian Americans. It applies to everybody. Well, y'all, check this out.
About your opponent, Donald Trump. I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
About your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that
We're
you
doing
have never
this!
interacted with him, met him.
This next question. Go ahead,
Zesty
play it.
Rolanda Martin. I understand that Zesty Rolanda Martin. I understand Zesty Rolanda Martin, who I got kicked off of News One Now for hating. His views dropped and he got dropped. When Zesty Rolanda Martin had me on News One Now with his panel of coons, after that showing, the Dr. Umar Ifatunde support base Germaniac Nation, the Ifatunde Acts, boycotted, Roland Martin show on News One Now, his views dropped and they dropped him. Zesty Rolanda fell off after he tried to come for the Prince of Pan-Africanism.
We back, y'all. We back. Number one. Worst news journalist. Work at MSNBC. Oh, my bad. MSDNC. Because everybody that almost work at MSNBC work for the DNC. It's the DNC control. You is not going to get no perspective. You just going to get one lane, one thing, non-stop of that. And the biggest problem I have with Joy Reid, is that she's a tether. And if you don't know what a tether is, that's somebody that's not foundational Black American who has lineage to this land, and they ancestors been here for years and generations. Some of us been here before the Civil War. Some of us been here before the Revolutionary War. Some of us was here before they even came and colonized this land. But this lady has no ties to Jim Crow or that experience or her parents or none of that, but she the most caping woman out here for injustice and racism and tell you how black you need to be and the black people need to do this, and she had no parts of that experience. She went to Ivy League school. She been privileged this whole time. Number one, Joy Reid.
Well, first of all, there were areas in the United States where Black people did vote.
Under Jim
It wasn't
Crow?
universal throughout the United States. So let's just be perfectly honest about that. I just told you it was not universal.
We know Jim Crow
there
wasn't
were areas,
throughout
but
the United
obviously
States.
Black people were suppressed from voting. That's what the purpose of not just the 64 and the 65 voting rights back, but so many others. But let's get back to what I was saying.
So you're inaccurate
All
there.
I was talking about is about Black families. No, I'm not being inaccurate.
During Jim
You
Crow,
are being
more Black
inaccurate.
people
This is the
voted conservative. They didn't vote conservative because they weren't allowed to vote. That is the essence of what Jim Crow is.
So again, Joy, I'm going to come back to my original point. It is talking about the family unit, having more fathers in the home, which creates better people going forward.
Last question,
and
then I'm going to let you go. Last question. We're out of time,
Sure,
but I'm
go
going to give
ahead.
you one more question. During Jim Crow, could your family have
Sure.
existed? You are in an interracial marriage. Your wife is a white conservative activist. Could your family have existed at all during Jim Crow?
No, it could not, Joy, and we all
Okay.
know that. But that's why I am blessed to live in America today as opposed to America during that time. But we cannot ignore the realities of not having fathers in homes. That is important for Black people today and all people today as we move forward for a better America.
We are out of time. What I'm
Chicken
grateful
Shack
for.
Trump moment. Trump, because you want to appeal to the blacks, you've already done sneakers. Now let's do chicken. Let's play it.
We've also knocked doors for you in the past for your past re-election bid and when you ran the first time. Yeah. I was interning for the GAGOP at that time. Well, doing a lot for your tax credit reform bill and everything like that.
Well, we took care of those colleges.
Sure did. Much better than Biden did. So I want to thank you. This is Clark Atlanta. This is Spelman. This is Morehouse. This is Morris Brown. They all came
Isn't that great?
So I don't care what the media tells you, Mr. Trump. We support you.
We love you.
Okay, 4 p.m. We've been 4 p.m.
Come here,
for a while.
let me give you a hug.
Please do.
Bless her, Candace Hart. Spelman and Morehouse Democrats put out a statement saying our goal is to simply reiterate our unequivocal beliefs about our beloved HBCUs. We do not support white supremacists. We do not support convicted predators. We do not support voter suppression. We do not support liars. We do not support fascism. Do not speak for us. I'm going to just tell you, as somebody who worked on campaigns, Secret Service has to go through that room. They're not just going to let anyone in there unless they're pre-screened. That lady said she was an intern for the Republican Party of Georgia. She used to work for Candace Owens' little firm, her little thing, Blexit. Right. She's a plant, so we know that. And everyone in that room was pre-screened to be in that room. This was not him walking into a chicken shack and people being like, Trump! About her race. So she was asked about whether she, updated or changed her sort of who she is racially. She dismissed the assertion and she said, same old tired playbook.
Next question, please.
There's a diversity of Black identity. Kamala Harris has always and continues to identify not just as a Black woman, but she can hold multiple identities, as many of us do. I think so many Americans are exhausted by the Trump years and sort of that division that came racially and ethnically. You know, and as he says, everyone's racist against me. I think a lot of people can understand there are lots of biracial families in this country. You know, ask J.D. Vance. He is part of one. You know, I think that there are a lot of people who understand that, you know, there's a lot of nuance. There's no longer this dichotomous Black v. white conversation in this country. We can bring in a lot of people. And that's what the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz coalition is building.
Here. Hey, guys. So I'm sitting in my hotel room. You can hear I turned the heater on. This is cold. People be putting the heat, they be putting the temperature in these hotel rooms on like 60, and it's really, really freezing. So I turned it up, and you can hear it in the background because I'm trying to warm this room up to where I can stand it because I'm old and cold. But I have to just add another thing. You know, I always have to add another thing. I'm struggling to understand what is the attraction of Donald Trump to Black people. I don't get it. Now, I know that, for instance, the Black women, I'm not with her people, those, for the most part, are existing Republicans. They were already Republicans. These are not like people who were converted by something Trump did that, you know, made them into, no, they were already Republicans. Just like the lady in the Chick-fil-A was a Republican. She's already there, the one who hugged Trump. And so their purpose was always going to be to support Trump. So it's not that. What is the attraction of Donald Trump to just a regular, ordinary Black person that's not already a paid Republican operative? I struggle to understand what that could be. I mean, this is a man who, back in the 1970s, wouldn't rent an apartment to Black people. He and his father put C for colored on any application by a Black person that wanted to live in one of these Trump apartments. And you couldn't live there because they would throw your application in the trash. Hey guys, so I just have to say, it is very clear to me that there is a lack of courage in the Republican Party right now, to the point where they're basically saying they're counting on Kamala Harris's voters to save them from Donald Trump. That they hope he loses, and this is people who are speaking off the record, you know, who are like tweeting at Eric Erickson or talking to Jonathan Martin off the record, that they really hope Trump loses because they hope that a big loss will drive him away and suddenly they'll get their party back. These are the conservatives who are either hawks who are uncomfortable with his lack of interest in the U.S. being in NATO, or fiscal hawks who don't like the idea of his tariffs and just want lots and lots of tax cuts, so they love to stick with the party, or people who are uncomfortable, you know, with him for some other reason, whether they have some sort of moral objection, which of course they never make public and never act on, or whatever it is. But the thing that
And the best part of this plan is no one can stop me. And the best part of this plan is no one can stop.
Donald Trump is an adjudicated sexual assaulter. He has a 34-count felony conviction. He's accused in 2 other crimes, 1 state, actually 3. 1 state in the state of Georgia and 2 more federal crimes. 1 for stealing classified documents, including nuclear documents that he had in his house, in his bathroom, and in his bedroom, and the other for trying to overthrow the government. He had a fake university that cheated students, and in some cases caused them to go into bankruptcy because he was charging them tuition for a nonsense degree that could get them nothing. He was never going to teach them to be rich like them. He defrauded the state of New York to the tune of where he owes them $500 million, $500 million in fines, because Letitia James prosecuted him for that. I mean, he literally had a fake university and fake charities that he and his sons were running that literally just defrauded people who thought they were giving to charity, but they were really just giving to a scam. Almost everything he's ever done has been a scam. He's barely ever paid taxes other than when he worked for The Apprentice, which is when he worked as an employee of NBC. When he was president, 1 million people died from COVID because he lied about the virus being airborne when he knew it was airborne but didn't tell anybody. He helped with his administration to fund vaccines that he then repudiated so people didn't take it. So Republicans disproportionately died from COVID.
You're being offered, as America, invitations to 2 house parties. And the question is, which house party do you want to go to? That's what an election is. What country do you want to be? Do you want to be at house party A, which is the house party that's like the 80s and it's got like Kid Rock and it's got, you know, the lady from OnlyFans at it? Or do you want to be at the house party that I'm at right here, where you've got this incredible mix of people, including Republicans, who are all welcome to the barbecue, who everybody gets a plate, no matter who you are, who you love, what you look like, what's your color, your race, your religion. That is what the Democratic Party has become. In the modern era, the Democrats are the house party that everybody's invited to. You're being
this far to the video. I thank y'all for spending y'all time with me. We'll be back with the next episode. I'm Yakini, also known as Mecca God Online. Stimulate your mind, man. This Underground TV. And the next episode, we're going to get into this migrant crisis. Episode 9 and episode 10. We got something special for y'all. Until the next time, y'all know what to do. Hit that like button, share. We on the road to 500, to 1,000, to whatever. Let's go. Infinity and beyond. Buzz Lightyear.